I don't know what I was doing when that was on the video. I think I was teaching the Madison Scouts, and they were like not giving enough energy.
You need to get some energy.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, hello to sunny Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We are here at a stadium, Carson Park. For those of you who haven't been keeping up, I'm Daniel Montoya. In addition to being the brass composer and arranger, I get to talk about media. And here on my left, my buddy, like the toy, Jason Robb. Hi, say hi, Jason Robb.
Hey, everybody. So excited about tonight. We are about to see the first glimpse of the 2021 Madison Scouts this evening. Are you pumped?
I'm excited. Well, why don't you tell? We already know, but what are we going to see and hear today over these next 3 hours?
So it's going to be a really fun night. Now, first and foremost, this is about celebrating the work that the membership has done and the staff, and they've been working hard. We actually put a show together in 18 days.
That's insane.
It is insane. But on top of that, we're also hosting our yearly summer fundraiser. So this is all about raising money for the drum corps so we can get down the road. We're going to get to talk to a lot of really important people, designers, educators. We have a special guest with us.
A special guest?
A special guest.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Do we know who he is?
We
or,
do.
Or who they are? We don't know who they are, right?
Should I let the cat out of the bag, or should I wait?
If you marched 30 years ago, you might know who this person is.
Yeah, or if you were in the horn line within those 30 years.
Within the last 30 years, yeah. I think everyone knows who this person is.
So Scott Borman has been with us all day.
Scotty B?
Scotty B.
The nicest guy in all of DCI, right?
Yeah, so he got to work with the horn line a little bit. He'll be guest conducting at the end of our performance tonight, You'll Never Walk Alone, his arrangement, which we still perform.
Yes.
And
that is correct.
So we've got some, all of the design team is really, Madison Scout nerd fans. And, and they're going to talk about some of their favorite shows with the composer arranger of those shows, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're also going to be, of course, showing the show. We're going to be running the show a few times, different ways. And for those of you that are going to be with us for the next 3 hours, at a given point in time, you can ask questions in the chat of probably the Facebook live feed, and we'll do our best to ask the designers the questions that we decide we will ask them. We'll go like, what were you thinking? Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And that was amazing, and we'll say thank you. We think so as well.
Yeah.
Now, this is very important for those that know us and the Madison Scouts. We like shoes.
We do like shoes.
We, without a doubt, have the #1 shoe game in all of DCI. So, Jason, why don't you tell everyone what you are wearing today on your feet?
I am wearing a Yeezy 350 V2 Mono Ice, which is a new cop.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. It's the first time I've worn it. What are you wearing today, Daniel?
These are the Jordan 1 Shadow 2.0. I did a lace swap, pine green, in honor of the Madison Scouts.
Yeah.
Now, our love of shoes has been infectious, and we've infected other staff members, specifically the executive director of the Madison Scouts, one Christopher Komnick. Do you think oh my God, Chris, you just showed up.
Oh, he's right here with us.
Whoa.
Yes, it's true.
Yes,
that is correct, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Let's just start off. What's on your feet, Chris?
I do not know.
So Chris is sporting this today. Chris is sporting a Ultra Boost 21 in the black and pine green colorway, which I'm super excited about.
And they are very comfortable. They are incredibly comfortable.
Yeah, I really like the ice heel cup, which is super cool.
It's nice.
Yeah, super
it's
cool.
nice.
But you guys probably don't care about shoes as
you
much
should.
as we do.
That's
so
fine. That's fine.
What are you the most excited about tonight, Daniel?
I'm excited for the world to see and hear the Madison Scouts for the first time in marching performance since August of 2019. Now, Chris, this is the first time in 2 years that anyone's going to see us, other than if you were in Cedarburg, right, for our parade and performance. So what do we have on tap? What's going on? Tell us about the season.
Well, sure. First thing to do is kind of frame it up. A typical spring training is about 4.5 weeks long. So we have put this together in 3 weeks. We did our first run-through last night, full run-through without the mat and everything, at 18 days. So it's incredible to put together a production this quickly. Very proud of the membership and everything that they've done, and they've kind of gutted it out, and here we are. We're ready to put it on to the public.
Yeah, it's quite the feat. Now, Jason did mention that we're asking for some money.
Absolutely. We will use every opportunity to raise money. Certainly, over the last 18 months, the pandemic has really thrown a curveball, especially at performing arts organizations. So we're using this as an opportunity to raise money throughout this evening. We have a couple different ways to do that. You can go to the scoutsproshop.com and find our little donate button there. We have a program called Feed the Scouts as well, which allows you to put money towards our food program specifically. In addition to that, and I'll grab.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Chris? You didn't come prepared. That's okay. Oh, it's right there.
Look at that.
We
Is
just
that yours?
started. Well,
did you march with that one?
No.
They didn't have Aussies in the 30s?
Very nice. So we are wearing Aussies this evening and this season, and we've started a sponsor an Aussie campaign. So for $250 donation, you get to sponsor a specific Aussie for a member. We will put inside a message from you. So if it's to a family member that's marching here, that's great. Or if it's just from an alumnus to a current marcher, and you want to give them a message, you'll get your message in the hat, your name in the hat, and at the end of the season, the membership gets to keep the hat and take it as a kind of a keepsake for the season.
I bought my sponsor at lunch today.
Yes, you did. I
did
that.
too.
Congratulations,
we
appreciate that.
I'm super excited. So also, if you don't have a direct connection with any of the membership, you can just ask the admin to assign one to you. So you can buy an Aussie, a sponsored Aussie, put a message in there, and then the admin will select a member as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last big thing. So we are starting a push. If you have seen the Madison Scouts on the road, our equipment trailer is at the end of its life.
Oh,
this is the last year. Actually, 2019 was supposed to be the last year, but with everything that was going on, we kind of put a halt on the production. We are building out a new equipment trailer, and we are raising funds towards that equipment trailer. If you make a donation that's $1,000 or above, you will get your name emblazoned on the equipment trailer for years to come. That thing should last a good 15, 20 years, hopefully, after we get it built out. But it should be great. It's going to be in production later this fall, and we'll be having it for next season. So you're going to want to make sure that you get that donation in at the $1,000 level. You get your name in there. So.
Now, Chris, we're not going to tell them, but you have a special announcement at the end of the night tonight, right?
Yeah, we do.
We do? How special is it?
It's about as special as you can get. You will definitely want to stay through to the end of all of this, hear what we have to say. Mr. David Lofi, our core director, is going to come along as well, and we'll introduce this announcement. But we're very, very excited to make the announcement, and I don't want to give it away yet.
No. You gotta tease them a little. Now,
I gotta pump it up.
You are not, like they say on those, not only a member, but you're the president, all right? But you are a marching member in, I know I joke, but 84 and 85, right?
That is correct.
That is correct. What instrument did you play?
I played mellophone.
Mellophone. Did you happen to march with or by anybody special that may or may not be appearing later today?
I do seem to recall a gentleman who came in from the state of Michigan.
Oh, Michigan, eh?
But I'm not really sure what happened to him since.
I've never heard. Maybe we'll find out. Now, Chris, there are a lot of great Madison Scouts moments in history, but what's one that maybe speaks to you the most right now, or one that you'd really like to kind of share with the audience, the literally thousands of people that are watching us right now?
That is hard. We have an amazing history. We have a ton of different shows. But I'll tell you what. First off, I am a mellophone player, so I certainly have a preference to things that are mellophone-oriented. I love the song Malagueña.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There's no W in Malagueña.
No, there is no W.
Except for in 88.
Yes, and in 1988, there was certainly a lot of members in that corps that I marched with that were pretty young in 85, but went on to win a world championship. I think if you want to look at a quintessential show of execution, the 1988 show is it. And if you want to talk about a show pushing a crowd to the ultimate expression of excitement, it's got to be from that mellophone solo at the end of 88 right to the end of that show. And I just love it because it swings around with the camera shot. There's one judge there who just kind of puts his clipboard down and goes, that's it. That's the winner.
and that mellophone soloist is a close friend of yours, isn't he? Is he not?
I lived with him in 1984 as Kent Rockow. He's an incredible jazzer, actually.
Jazz.
Jazz. Imagine that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to write?
So 1988. Why don't let's watch it? Let's hear it. Right.
There we go.
All right. Or not. You know, we'll just. This is speaking of jazz. We're gonna riff. Who can you introduce yourself, young sir?
Well, my name is Scott Borman. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Scotty B. Nice to meet you. Wow. You are Madison Scouts legend. Like right now, the donations have probably been pouring in. The phones are ringing off the hook.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Now I know who you are, and everyone's watching who you are. But maybe somebody doesn't know. Did you march this corps at some point?
I did, 1984 and 1985.
Wait a minute, with future executive director Chris Comnick?
As a matter of fact, yeah, we passed each other off and on the field.
Like ships in the night? Were you always yelling at him?
No.
Do you hold rank over him?
Not at all.
I think maybe. I'm kind of.
No way.
So 84, 85, and then you joined the brass staff when?
86. The next year,
geez.
I was fortunate enough to be asked to come back.
86.
Yeah.
And I was alive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then in 88, you were asked to join the design team of sorts, right?
Well, yeah. It kind of it's kind of a long story, but kind of through that season, we needed a bunch of rewrites for various reasons. The first 2/3 of the show were kind of just a new territory for the corps, and we just had to tweak it until we got it just right, and it just happened to fall in my lap. I had done a few rewrites the couple years prior, and I had been arranging for a lot of ensembles elsewhere at that time. So that was kind of my audition, I think, to become the arranger for the Madison Scouts.
And then you held the arranger position from 89 till when?
Till 2006.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's a long time.
I'm an old guy.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, if we put you and Chris next to each other, who would look the oldest? I'm not going to
say.
Put in the comment section down below.
That's right.
You know,
He's the executive director.
He is. Yes. And then a gentleman's intermission.
Took a little while. Took a little time off, and came back in 2015 and wrote for 4 more years through the 2018 season. So 27 years with the corps.
That's incredible.
Yeah, half my life.
That's older than anybody on the field today. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
And some of our staff, too.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So you are part of the teams that are responsible for some of the most iconic Madison Scout shows, at least during my lifetime. You know, you have your City of Angels shows, your 93 Strawberry Soups, the Latin trilogy of sorts, 94, 95, 6. What is it like writing this music and standing in front of the horn line, hearing it, and just hearing the crowd just go crazy for the work that you and the other staff and team were doing?
As you would expect. It was, I as a young guy, I went to drum corps shows with my father, who was the high school band director in our town, and my high school band director, and so I got acclimated to drum corps. I think the first summer I went to see drum corps shows, I think the first one was Whitewater in 1975, and it happened to be a good year for the Madison Scouts.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So it's just kind of destiny, and I never really saw. I thought maybe I could march in one of those drum corps someday, but never occurred to me that I'd actually be writing music for one of my favorite corps.
Yeah.
And just incredible honor to have had that happen to me and get the experience of writing for such a storied organization. And in the 1988 show, that was our 50th anniversary. So the corps has been around a while.
A little bit.
Yeah. So nothing like being in front of that line. All these incredible people making great music, working all summer toward a product that I helped put together. A lot of satisfaction every year, and then of course the audience. We're fortunate to be one of those corps that the audience kind of digs, and so being in the audience on those nights and seeing people get up on their feet and go nuts for something I played a little role in was pretty gratifying.
Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that this is a fundraising opportunity. So if you don't like donating money because Chris Comnick said so, maybe if Scott Borman, you could look in the camera and tell people they need to send money because they like Scott Borman shows, give money to the Scouts, right?
We need your generosity.
Yeah,
we need your generosity. We're counting on you. These incredible young people are working so hard to make great entertainment for you. Really appreciate your help.
Yeah, I think we said if they donate $25,000, you'll say their name live on air, right?
Sure. Sounds good.
That sounds about $25K.
I'll do that.
Yeah. You'll pronounce it correctly.
I'll try.
For $50K, we'll guarantee that you'll say it correctly. That is correct.
I'll do my research then. I'll actually ask the person how to
ask. Excuse me. How? Yeah. So you are affectionately referred to, at least by me, as Scotty B. Scotty B, the coolest guy, the most likable guy in DCI.
Well, I was unaware of this until today.
I'm
happy to hear that.
Do you like the jazz?
I like the jazz.
You like to swing?
Yeah, I love to swing.
You like to swing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so at any point, every opportunity, you would just make the Madison Scouts swing. Madison Scouts swing. I can't even say it.
I played a role in helping them swing. Yes,
you did. You're going to talk about that later. I know one of our friends is going to discuss that with you. Now, we just talked to Chris Comnick and Jason Robb. Do you remember any funny stories about Jason Robb as a marching member that you'd like to share? Because now Jason Robb is in the role as program coordinator.
I know. He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he is. So, any funny stories about him?
Gosh, you know what? He's standing right there.
He's not listening.
He was the most.
He's watching it live.
The most amazing performer in the history of the Madison Scouts.
Really?
That's what I remember.
Now, I don't think John Schipper's watching, but you're basically saying Jason Robb.
Jason Robb was he was. Boy, you got me here.
So he's as good as Iron Lips John Schipper.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah,
on that second mellow part, or I don't know what part he played.
He cranked it out though. I mean, he brought it.
He did.
He didn't leave it on the field.
Well, I've seen the pictures of him. He played hard, and he also slept hard on the bus.
That was a notable characteristic of him.
He could sleep anywhere, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the shows that you have done has become arguably, or at least scientifically based on the vote last year, the most popular Madison Scout show of all time, the 1995 show, which, humble brag, you and I discussed on a little podcast called Sketchbook Podcast, where we broke down.
You should listen to that. He's amazing.
I'm only as good as the guest, and you have the number one most listened to episode on that podcast.
I'd like to thank my parents.
Please take it. They don't have any music to cue you, so we're not going to. Can you imagine the uproar if I put the hook on Scott Borman?
Yeah,
we can't do that here.
Rough.
We can't do that. A drum corps fan's dream, not part one because there wasn't supposed to be a part dos yet. Yes. A day in the life of the bullfighter. Now, I don't know what question to ask other than I know. Here's the best thing. Remember in 1995 when you wrote a drum corps fan's dream? You remember that?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So I'm Paul McCartney.
You're Paul McCartney in this. I'm Chris Farley in this example.
I love that.
In this example, that's the greatest show of all time, is it not?
Well, you be the judge.
I think some people. I like this show, and yes, I think we all have our what we think is best, but it's hard to argue that that's not one of, if not the most entertaining drum corps show of the last 700 years, I think.
People were not sitting down very often during that show.
They paid for the seat, but they only needed the edge.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. You can. It's on a shirt, I think.
Is it? Okay.
It should be on a shirt.
It should be.
It should be.
It will be now.
It will be. That's right. It's just so aggressive. Right. I mean, right off the bat, you start with the bullfighter call. Right. Is that what it's referred to?
Yep.
And then we're going to play as loud and awesomely as possible off the gate. Right.
Yep. Hopefully, awesomely as well as loud in
that
order.
And it was.
Yeah.
And it was. I think microphones weren't ready for what y'all were going to do to them.
Microphones would have been in a bad thing then.
Yeah, and no amplification,
right?
Yeah,
people would have been hurt. But it was just an amazingly talented group of guys.
It really was. And I have to know, and maybe if you could think back, it's been a few years.
Couple years.
You're sitting in Madison East High School at the time,
yeah.
And the horn line reads it for the first time. Were you there the first time they read it?
Yes. Yeah.
Were you in the circle? Were you conducting it? What was that like?
It was in the cafeteria at East High School, and it was pretty fun. I actually remember that night. I actually remember just kind of looking around, thinking, "We're gonna have a good time with this."
And so that show was so incredibly wildly successful. It was a 4th place overall, right? I believe. I think you tied for brass.
Yes, we did.
And then you actually won brass at one of the shows earlier.
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's why they have a sword, right?
And then we tied on Friday night and tied on Saturday night, and they combined the 3, and so
it was a 4-way tie for brass. Wow. So I know we're not going to.
I think 3-way.
That's. I don't know.
Who's counting?
I don't.
It was
apparently 3. It was 3. I'm sorry. We'll have to do an errata at the end of this episode where we fix all of the mistakes I just made on here. Trying to make sure I stay on schedule. We got plenty of time here. Oh my God, we've got 6 more minutes. When did you decide to do part dos, as Brant Crocker would say, part dos?
Yeah, I think you're looking for. What really worked for you the previous year as you're going into the next year to try to figure out how do we make it better? How do we improve upon that? It was a tall order, but it just seemed with the energy generated by that, it just seemed like a no-brainer. We need to take one more step and stay with the Latin stuff, and it worked again.
It did.
Yeah.
And then you said, we're going to wow you with an incredibly different type of show. And you had the Pirates of Lake Mendota, which Tim Darbone, our visual caption head, rode bikes around Mendota, and he didn't see any pirates. He was very disappointed.
They don't exist.
They don't.
It's a legend.
Oh, it's the legend.
Yeah, we're referring to,
the legend.
Times,
yes, when the Great Lakes were connected to the ocean, the seven seas, if you will.
Yep.
That was such a great. And we were talking last night among some of the staff, just some of the great shows in Madison Scouts history, and you said, or someone had mentioned that the 2000 show, the Cossack Brotherhood, is that Scott Stewart's favorite show?
He claims it is.
He claims it is his favorite show. And Michael Martin, arranger for the Cavaliers, underrated. Y'all were robbed, something like that. Yeah. So shout out to the Rose over there. Now you've been apart for almost 30 years. You've taken some time away. You came back, and you've taken some time away. And is this the first time you've been close to the Corps since you left in 2018?
Yes.
So you came in last night, and today you spent the day with the Corps. I
was promised that I was going to be wined and dined for a couple days, I couldn't resist saying yes.
Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings it's fancy dining. It's chef's kiss. It was good last night. It was fun.
Very good, yes.
Now, earlier today, you got to work with the brass line on your iconic arrangement of Never Walk Alone.
I can't take that much credit for it.
I think you should.
Well, that's very kind
I'm giving
of
it to you.
But that arrangement has been around for a long time before me, and it's gone through some iterations and adjustments, especially when we went to the new regular instruments.
B-flat instruments. Yep. Okay. So can you talk a little bit, because you're going to, spoiler alert, you're going to be conducting Never Walk with the, did you bring your baton?
No.
Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. Well, you better start practicing.
Is it in 4?
I think we moved into 12/8 grooves a little more that way. Yeah. So we had some congas in the background for you. Yeah. So you'll be doing it tonight at the end of the night with them, which is a beautiful piece of music and a beautiful arrangement. So that way, and you work with the brass. What was it like standing in front of the first drum corps in a few years to get together? But it's also the first brass horn line in Madison Scouts history to have both men and women.
Yep.
You stood in front of them. You got to work with them for about 45 minutes. What was that like today?
Yeah, well, you remember the first couple of minutes, I was just nervous. I just felt like, gosh, I'm not worthy to be standing in front of the new edition of the Madison Scouts. And, I always feel a sense of just awe in that, wow, I'm actually standing in front of this storied horn line, the long green line.
Yeah.
And it never gets old. And to hear, and I was listening to the warm-up and they were playing, it's like, what am I going to possibly work on? They sound fantastic already. And it was just really nice. It just felt great to be back with them and making music and looking into these great kids' eyes. And and of course it's the core song. So the years of singing it with my arms around, my compatriots, my fellow Madison Scouts, and every night it's become a song that has defined me as a human being. And so to stand in front of them today and be a part of that again was pretty exhilarating.
Yeah, there's a picture that is going around social media that the Corps director David Lofi took, and I'm sitting in front of you're conducting. I look like a kid in a candy store because I'm not you don't like the praise too much, but I mean it's like, hey Beethoven, why don't you conduct your symphony? I'm going to watch you, and I just got to sit there and see the passion, because as it went on, I think you felt like, all right, I'm going to dig into this, and you really just kind of and I think, as someone who's never marched the Madison Scouts, so spoiler alert out there, yes, I'm designing for the drum corps of my dreams, which we'll talk later.
I didn't know that was allowed.
Well, they'll let anything happen with
Are they going to find this out?
Don't tell Chris. Luckily, he's not watching right now. He doesn't care. Somebody make a donation in my name. That'll be great. I can keep working here.
You made a big donation.
I did. I come from extreme wealth, and I made a donation to make this happen. Under the table, of course, I'll be the arranger.
Yeah.
And so the song doesn't affect me the way that it would affect you or Jason or Chris. But once we got to the end of that rehearsal, and they just, you could tell they finally kind of understood the song, and they weren't just playing the notes. And I think that's a testament to the arrangement, but also to your musicianship that you were able, because we have a great brass staff, and they're able to do things.
Hanging around with this guy.
It's my job to keep you going. Well, here's one last thing I'll say as we pivot into this next segment. I firmly believe that 1995 Madison Scouts is the most entertaining drum corps show in the entire history of the world. And if somebody said you have one show left to listen to before we pull your plug in the simulation, it would be a drum corps fan's dream, A Day in the Life of the Bullfighter. And that has everything to do with your genius, as well as Jeff Moore and Taras on the front ensemble.
It was a great team.
You were so lucky to have that team for so long.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to, shocker, we're going to play your original composition, El Toro.
Oh, my gosh.
Which you sell how many of those a year? Like 50 times?
I have no doubt.
All I know is that you hear that and you know it. And spoiler alert, there might be a little bit of El Toro for you to hear in the show. I don't know. Okay. You'll have to stick around. So here we go, Madison 95.
Wait, can I tell you a quick story?
You can.
Maybe I can't tell this. We had to come up with a title for this opener, and we knew we wanted to have something to do with being a bull, but I had to go to. We had a specific underscore of what we wanted it to feel like, and I had to go to I was teaching high school band at Novi High School at the time, and I had to go to our Spanish teacher to translate something that was going to be. I'm not going to tell you what the title actually is supposed to mean, but she says, "Oh, El Toro Caliente." So, okay,
there you go. That's what it is. So here we go, Madison 95 with El Toro Caliente. Ole. This is where we riff for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let that. Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Super excited to be here. Really exciting fundraising. We've already raised over $4,000, which is fantastic. And more exciting, we've already we've already had 30 people sponsor an Aussie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think let's go ahead and make a goal. I would love it if we could get all of the members sponsored tonight. So we have all of the marching members with an Aussie sponsored. And then the color guard, what's going to happen is if you sponsor a color guard member, they'll actually get to keep one of their show flags. And we'll have a message in the bag for them so they get to see that. So we're
That's
down.
Awesome.
We have 40. We're marching 165 full drum corps this summer.
That's big.
So let's make a push to 165.
Why not?
Super excited about that.
Yeah, Scott Borman challenged them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did they not want to listen to Scott Borman?
I looked right into the camera.
He did.
Well, 40 is a good start, gentlemen.
Okay, yes, you're right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Yeah, super excited. I can't believe that you missed this, Scott. It's the first time I got to see you on the broadcast. So excited that you're
Good
here.
to see you, Jason.
Now, I'm surprised you didn't talk about Scott's Flex because you're sporting some pretty sweet shoe
Really?
kicks.
These old things?
Yeah.
These are things I found in the bargain bin at the Foot Locker.
So what are you wearing, Scott?
Well, these would be the Yeezy 700s.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. You know, it is because it's fitting and you're styling with your cuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
very good.
Yeah, Scotty B right there.
That's right. I try
Scotty B
to
with
forge.
the E's.
Yeah.
Forward, the forward leadership.
Forward performing arts.
Forward performing arts.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for me here to be able to interview Daniel Montoya, the current brass and ranger composer of the Madison Scouts, and Scott Borman, the longest tenure in that. Yeah, the legend, the myth himself.
That's right.
So Daniel, talk to me a little about like when you started your career and you thought about getting the opportunity to arrange for a world-class drum corps. Talk to me about, I know that this is your destination place. So how did this become the destination place for you to have the privilege to arrange for it?
The first drum corps show I ever saw was in Killeen, Texas in 1993. And at the time, drum corps got to rehearse in the stadium before the show. And my drum line from Crockett High School in Austin, Texas, we drove up, and I saw a sea of men with their shirts off, and there were yellow radioactive drums, and they were rehearsing the drum break from the Strawberry Soup show just over and over again, and they were singing, and I had never seen or heard anything like that in my life. And from that moment on, they were the corps that I idolized. I bought the Jammin' shirt with the snare drummers all in the line. Yeah. I wish I could get one of our members has that shirt. They found it on eBay or something. And from 1993, ever since, I've always been like, God, that would be amazing to work with the Madison Scouts, to write for the Madison Scouts. And I don't lie when I say I have been ripping Scott Borman off in my career ever since then. Scott Borman and Jeff Moore and Taras, I've stolen their licks. I've put them in shows, and now I actually can say that I'm doing that in this show.
Lawsuits are pending.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's public domain.
Yeah. So a little sneak about this year's show. You will see some cross between some of Daniel's music, but also there's some of Scott's music in the show, which is really exciting.
We knew this isn't a throwback show. It's not a tribute show. But it is very much Madison, and it's very much us as a design team. And we wanted to honor the past of the Madison Scouts, both visually and musically. And Scott was, I don't know how many people would do this, so incredibly gracious. I emailed him and go, Scott, you want to share your scores from 95 and 96 with me? Yeah. And there was no hesitation. Here you go. And I was like, I can't open this one. Oh, I'll do it. And he was just, I don't know how many arrangers who replaced another arranger. I didn't replace you, but no one can replace you.
Oh, Scott, you're replaced. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We're all expendable at some point. I'm gonna be sitting here with some 19-year-old kid one day, just going like, okay. But how many people would just here are my scores?
Yeah.
And
so let me back up a little.
Yeah, sorry.
I know
just
for
excited.
me, I'm excited too. But talk to me about just sending the email. Would that make you anxious to reach out to Scott? Hey, man.
Well, I interviewed Scott on the #1 episode of Sketchbook Podcast.
What is Sketchbook Podcast?
It's a podcast. Basically, it's a band podcast.
I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get to talk to designers, teachers, people in the activity. You and I have recorded a few episodes.
We have.
Chris Komnick. And I've talked to him about 95. I've talked to some Cavalier designers about some of their iconic shows. It's just, podcasts are really popular.
So if you like band and drum corps, you would enjoy the Sketchbook Podcast.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. And don't come for me. Come for people like Scott and yourself. And so we had built up sort of a rapport, a familiarity. And so I emailed him and I explained what we were trying to do with this show. And I said, basically, I'm going to put these licks in the show, so it'd probably be better if you just sent me your music. So I
and then my people told me about the email.
His people.
We had meetings. And,
I mean, God, the writer on the list on this thing, it's insane.
That's awesome. Well, let's get back to 93. So, Scott, can you talk to us a little bit? Like, how, that was. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about this at dinner last night, that Scouts have a little bit typecast of, like, we always play Latin music, but not really. Like, So, but that is, there is Latin-centric parts of that show. So talk to me a little bit about how, your process in terms of the 1993 show, so we can kind of geek out, because that's one of my favorite shows too.
Yeah.
And Strawberry Soup was supposed to be in the 2020 show. It was the dead center of the show.
Even with the ending that Chris Comnick never liked.
Yeah. Which is actually the same ending that Scott wrote.
So basically, Chris Comnick doesn't like Scott Borman.
That is correct.
That is correct. That is literally correct.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah. But 93, Scott, talk to us a little bit like how was the music selection, all of that stuff?
Well, we had just come out of doing 2 years of City of Angels, and it was very successful for us. And as we were talking last night, the Scouts were known and still are known for not in a box. A lot of people have this idea that all we play is Latin music. Well, very few years of our history have we actually played Latin music. So we came out of Broadway musicals for a couple of years, and it's kind of the same thing. I think the show was called Reflection and Evolution, and we wanted to do kind of some nods to some of the great things from our past, and then we wanted to do some original stuff at the end to just kind of show them where we're going with the thing. And so, like, some of the iconic Strawberry Soup is just this iconic Madison Scouts staple that happened in the early 80s. And we also played Numero Uno and Louis Bellson Chart for the opener, and then Taras Naherniak and I wrote. Gosh, I just had a hard time saying one of my best friend's names.
Taras
Naherniak.
We'll fix that in post.
Yeah, Taras,
I'm sorry, Taras.
Yeah, it is a hard name to pronounce.
It is.
Yes.
Taras Naherniak.
Yeah.
So he and I wrote some original music that we were like Lennon and McCartney that summer. How's that for building myself up way beyond what I should be?
93?
I do. Yeah. So we put together, we put together this balladish and kind of some dance stuff for the end, and so it's kind of the same thing. We wanted to base some things on our past and then mess with them and kind of do new things with them and then do some brand new
That's what
stuff.
we like to do.
I would say so.
I've noticed
I
that.
would say so.
I think we like to ruin things, though.
No, I saw the run through. That's not true.
I'm just kidding. No, so that's awesome. For me, that was to me, I felt like, everyone always talks about the 95 show. Two of my favorite shows were the two City of Angels shows, but I felt like the momentum for 95 started in 93 in terms of like what you were doing in those shows. Almost like you didn't veer too far off, and you kept like dialing it in and dialing it in and dilating it. Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. And definitely by the time you guys get into that groove, especially in terms of how you started using the percussion elements with the horn line, because it was very different. When Noah Bellamy comes on later, you guys are going to talk about how the drum corps swung. But like in those years, to me, it's like, how did you guys talk about infusing the Latin percussion with what you were doing with the brass line? Because as we've discovered this year, it's not an easy thing to do.
No.
So how did you guys, when you guys were writing stuff together, how did you go back and forth from a music arrangement standpoint?
Yeah, I think by that time, a lot of us have been working together for a while. That's one of the keys to success, is just familiarity with, you do this, I do this, we're good at this, we're not so good at this, and what's your forte, what's mine, and how can we make it happen? And I think we were all very much into exploring different styles, sometimes within the same show. Sometimes we're going to do Latin, sometimes we're going to do Broadway, sometimes we're going to do pop, or sometimes we're going to do, and I think we were all of us happened to kind of like the different grooves that were possible, and how can we make this happen within the drum corps idiom in a way that was true to the original intent, yet drum corps-ized. And I think we just all kind of worked well together in that regard.
That's great. Now, Daniel, what's interesting for me,
Yes, Jason.
what's interesting for me and you is that Daniel's a percussionist, and a lot of people don't know that.
Chug it up.
Yeah, so talk to me about like your lineage in percussion. Like you're a snare drummer, right?
I am. I'm a snare drummer. I'm a classically trained composer. I've got 2 fancy degrees that say I know how to write music, but the comments will probably differ from that one. I grew up idolizing Jeff Moore's 12/8 licks. I mean, anything that was in that groove, like and then the 14 xylophones that the Scouts employed every year.
We needed them. We didn't have electronics.
We didn't have these fancy microphones.
Yeah.
But, I wasn't kidding. I grew up listening to and trying to absorb the arrangements of not only Scott, but at the time, time, Wayne Downey and Jay Bocook and Jim Wren, and I picked up the sound that I really like, and I really feel like if there was one person whose sound I absorbed the most, who comes out in all of the music I write for the marching arts, it would be Scott's.
So when you talk about that, and I think that's interesting, because I think when I think about the Madison Scouts, and we've had a lot of really amazing arrangers through our history, the Borma sound and how the horn line is scored is a certain way, and I really feel really excited about how the scoring is coming across this summer. And nice. I know that you guys have collaborated in terms of, like, how did you score? What did we do? Because we wanted to make sure the horn line sat in Madison. Mm-hmm. So in layman's terms, can you talk about both your processes, or maybe together, just like what did you do to build that sound for the Madison Scouts this summer?
Me, I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but I use thirds in my chords. Some might say that thirds aren't the way to go.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But what you'll hear as we get to this '93 show. I just hear the colors that you got and the textures, and I never saw a score. I just went off of what I heard, and I go, Scott uses these wonderful colors and clusters and just notes. It's not like B flat major chord. It's just like, there we go. And that's just me doing my best to sound like Scott Borman. So we're going to see that and hear that in this '93 show.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's the strawberry soup portion, my favorite part of that show.
That's awesome. Well, really exciting. So 1993, which part of the show are we
Strawberry
watching?
Soup.
Strawberry Soup.
That's
awesome.
Right.
That's
our
very
favorite
good.
part.
All right, here we go.
Please welcome to the field from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Flash Visual Media, proud printing partner of the Madison Scouts. Since 2013, Flash Visual Media is the single-point, quick-turn resource for innovative solutions and high-quality digitally printed products for the marching arts. Flags, floor tarps, prop prints, tuba bell covers, parade banners, prop frames and cards, and much more. If you can imagine it, Flash Visual Media can probably print it. At Flash Visual Media, our mission is to support, promote, and enhance marching arts activities and the positive life skills they teach young performers. Making art reality. Let our team help make your vision come to life. For more information, visit flashvisualmedia.com.
Whenever I see him counting down, I think of Wayne's World, and they're going like,
yeah.
Don't move your mouth. Don't move your mouth. Don't move your mouth. Hey,
boys,
we're back.
Boys, you're nodding.
You're nodding. Hey, so, we never give the pit a lot of exposure, but here we go. They're going to see and hear that front ensemble today.
Drum set is on fire.
Drum set just.
Yeah. He's got some great moments in the show.
He does. You're going to love it. Speaking of the show, or rather, speaking of today, we've hit $10,000 already on our goal to hit 50,000. I mean, right at this rate, we might as well just go up.
Yeah.
And Chris Comnick, now you're going to think I'm joking about this, but I'm literally not. Chris Comnick has graciously agreed to match the next $5,000 donated.
Wow.
So if you can get us to 15,000, he will then get us to 20.
That's awesome.
So let's get that. Let's donate. Let's pledge to sponsor an Aussie. sponsor a color guard flag or just sponsor a meal. All of these are on the ScoutsProShop.com, I believe.
And I do really want to push. I really think now, like, I want every single member to be sponsored by the end of tonight. So I'll get an update on the next spot.
Yeah, we will.
But the last spot we were at 40. So
really?
For $250 you can sponsor a member's Aussie or their flag. So every member will, and there's a personalized message. They get to keep that Aussie, or they get to keep one of their show flags at the end of the season.
So we're a little under a quarter of our way there. Speaking of a quarter, I don't know. That was just a random entrance. Now, Jason, not only are you the program coordinator of the Madison Scouts, but you've been a very successful teacher, but you're also an alum of the Madison Scouts Drum and Bugle Corps.
That is correct.
That is correct. You played mellophone?
I did. I played mellophone.
You played mellophone. That's right. And you marched, what were the seasons you marched the drum corps?
2002, 2003, 2004.
2002, 3, and 4. And those are some very famous shows, especially the 2003 show when Madison Scouts did something very different. And we've been talking about this all night, about how the Madison Scouts they're not in a box. You can't, pigeonhole them. And they did the music of Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, and it was interesting for me because when I took this position, and I've always known the history of the Madison Scouts as a fan and an alum, but when you're starting to pick shows and think about what's happening, I always felt like the musical choices of the Madison Scouts were cutting edge. Like a musical would come out and boom, you guys would program it. And for me as a member, 2003, we took a big jump and we programmed the music from Cirque du Soleil. And as a member, I mean, by far my favorite show that I ever performed through my entire career. Awesome.
Yeah, so, this was sort of the coming out. Cirque du Soleil wasn't what they became yet with all their shows in Vegas and all the traveling shows. So I'm curious, Scott, how did that music end in your lap, and how did y'all decide to just throw it on the field?
I'm trying to remember exactly who gave me the CD, but somebody gave me a CD of Kidam, Cirque du Soleil, and then we started just kind of talking about that as a possibility. Well, Michael Cesario was our program coordinator, and it was kind of a new team that came on that year, and I was kind of a leftover from the past before that, and Michael, we'd known each other a little bit through the years, but we had never worked together. But he looked me in the eye at one point and said, "Well, what have you always wanted to write? What do you want to write?"
Is that how he sounds, Scott?
I could get a little bit more animated.
We know how Michael probably sounded saying.
Pormo, what do you want to write?
Yeah.
And I'd been thinking about this for a year or so since I got this CD. I just was very entranced by the music. It was so unique. It had a kind of a Middle Eastern flair. And not a lot of that kind of style had been done. And in the Middle Eastern kind of scales kind of equate to the Latin scales a little bit.
Sure.
And I just thought, this is an untapped kind of style that I don't think drum corps have done much. And so I said, what about this stuff? And played it for them. And then I also got La Nuba, which was playing at Disney World at the time. And so we just decided to go with that. And we all actually took a design trip down to Orlando to see La Nuba together.
That's awesome.
That sounds very similar to the current design team who goes to Disney World quite a bit.
Well, one of the designers.
Thanks for the invite.
And something interesting, too, because, when we came on board, we wanted to ensure that we were really making smart choices, and that drum corps was really young. So in 2002, we had something crazy, 10 6-year veterans. Yeah. And in 2003, the membership, there was some really strong individual players, which I think, you highlighted in your arrangements, but the drum corps...
Jason Robb was one of them.
Yeah, but if you look...
In the Madison lore, the history.
Anyways. But one thing I thought was interesting is that you chose to do 5 smaller movements that were, the drum corps could perform really confidently, these 1.5, 2 minute chunks, versus doing a long 3-minute production. And was that, and I didn't ask you this beforehand, but was that a purposeful because of that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with visual ideas that were brought to the table. If I'd like to make this happen in between here, then let's shorten this down and give that opportunity to restage. And, the whole staging concepts of drill was kind of just emerging. It wasn't just drill. And so we were kind of evolving in that regard, and I think that the arranging choices matched that desire.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, Scott, not only an accomplished composer, arranger, conductor, but you're a world-class educator at the high school level, the collegiate level.
Did I mention I'm going to keep hanging around with this guy?
I'm wondering if this. How are you going to feel when you go home?
I know people are
back to normal.
I'm going to expect big things.
We're going to tear you down after the show.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But Jason, as a member at the time, you hadn't begun your very successful teaching career. What was it like for Scott to come in as the arranger, but also as a brass technician and an educator?
Well, first of all, I think to take a scaled-out view, it's important to understand how the brass staff was organized as a whole. So So the brass caption head was Mark Waymeyer, and Mark Waymeyer and Scott worked together at Eastern Michigan. Is that correct? So it was interesting because they were working together so closely. I mean, Scott, you were always teaching, but the actual on-the-road brass caption head for most of the summer worked every day with Scott. So I think that's an interesting fact because they had such a close relationship that the way that the book was written was to feature the strengths of the staff and the students. So I thought that was important. The brass staff in general was super strong at the time. Mark Waymeyer, Andy Putnam's the director of bands at Eastern Kentucky. Is that correct? Todd Sneed, Jacob Garlinger, who's now a principal at like Hebron High School, but he was a really accomplished band director for a long time. There's a lot of other people too that I'll probably leave out, but the brass staff in general were such technicians about keeping us accountable and ensuring that we were constantly motivated. And I always felt like when Scott came in as the arranger, he was the icing on the cake. He would come in and was relentless about musicianship. And one thing I told Scott at dinner last night is like, I learned a lot as a teacher about how to approach music making because, it's almost, there's always this thought of, well, we need to learn all the notes and rhythms and then we'll get to it. But Scott was the opposite. It was almost like the music is more important. And if the kids know what they're supposed to do musically, the members are going to be able to do all the nuts and bolts. And I just can remember when you were in for, 3 or 4 day stretches, how much better we would get because we knew what you were thinking when you were writing the arrangements. And I've taken that with me for my whole career, even when I go work with groups now, even the Madison Scouts.
I appreciate you saying that.
We saw a little bit of that this afternoon when he was working on Neverwalk.
Oh, it was a magical moment.
Yeah.
Well, it's an activity that thrives on perfection and lining things up and tuning every chord and everything's got to be meticulous. Well, normal music doesn't follow those. I mean, it's got to be in tune.
Yeah,
you don't want to listen. It's got to be in time, but it's as much about the expression as it is about the cleanliness of things. And so it's always a hard balancing act to make happen. And I know that those guys that you mentioned, I think part of them were like, oh no, Borman's coming in. He's going to ruin everything we've cleaned because I'll be asking for him to shape something or push this line forward, and that didn't exactly line up with. But I think it was just, as you say, it was just such a great team. We trusted each other. We knew each other. We worked together for many years, and so I thought we just complemented each other in that regard.
Was Dr. Nick on that staff?
Dr. Nick was not, but he came around in 2008. But he's still another good example of someone that's music forward.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I think there's a lot of great examples of wonderful technicians that allow the transparency of what's happening, the music to come out. But Nick Williams was the same way. College professor, was one of the directors at UNT. He's now the I don't know what his actual title is, but he's in Melbourne Conservatory in Australia.
I believe so.
But
yes.
I would say a music forward teacher, which
forward.
Yeah.
Forward
Madison Scouts. Yeah.
Forward Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Now you did 02 and then 05, right?
No,
02, 3, 4.
02, 3, 4, and then I actually tore up my ankle.
What?
Yeah, no, actually in 04, but I didn't get surgery, so I was not able to march 05 and 06.
Oh,
yeah.
You could have marched 06?
I could have marched 05 and 06, but my ankle would not allow it.
It wouldn't allow it.
I had to have
and the quality of the core kind of went down.
That is not
when,
true.
When he was
you
not
were a
there.
soloist.
I was a soloist in 04.
Is your name on the statue? Is there a soloist statue?
There's not a soloist statue.
Like
there should be.
It's Chris Komnick, but then everyone's names are
actually,
etched on it.
Fun fact, I almost got cut from being a soloist in 2004.
By Scott Borman?
Please don't tell it me. It was
By Mark Waymeyer.
Okay, good.
But he was really great because I got a case of the fracks, and it was like Malaga, the whole core would play, and then the whole core cut off, and then I started this trio. It was me and Travis Peterson. It was a trio, and I can't, for the life of me, I'm going to think of it right when we get off the air.
Was it Jason Litt?
It was not Jason Litt. The baritone soloist. I'll think of it in a second. And as we went in, the core cut off, and it was me, and I just had the fracks, and I was like falling all over myself. And I remember Mark Waymer taking me behind the stadium, and he was like, "Dude, just lay it out. It's gonna be fine. Take a breath and just blow." And I was like, and he just stood at me. He wouldn't say anything else, and then I did not frack it again for the rest of the season
until finals night.
A little chip.
Oh, I don't know. I was just kidding. I didn't know about that. So Jason, what are we going to watch right now?
So we're going to watch the beginning of 03. It just, it's I think right from the beginning, there's a company front, which is staple visual percussion moment into a huge standard impact from Scott Borman in terms of just power, but it's actually the last time the Madison Scouts march G bugles, which I think is awesome too.
Oh my God!
So you're going to get that G bugle sound, for that what Scott Borman made famous in Madison Scouts.
Well, if you love G bugles, donate money. Maybe we'll bring it back. I'm not saying we won't.
Daniel,
I'm not saying we will.
We're not bringing it back. But you can donate. Yeah.
Don't tell them that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's watch a little bit of that Cirque du Soleil magic. Was it green, gold, and red?
Gold, green, and red.
The music of Benoit Jutras.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
on the field from Madison, Wisconsin, performing their 2003 program, Gold, Green, and Red, the music of Benoit Jutras. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Madison Scouts. Are the judges ready? Drum Major John Newcomb, is your corps ready? Madison Scouts, we take the field for competition.
All right, and we're back. I'm here with Chelsea Arenas, who is our guard caption head and also serves as the guard designer on the design team. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. So exciting.
Well, honestly, I just want to say thank you. I pulled her out of warm-up so she could come and talk to you guys. I'm really excited. Before we go into what she's been doing with the drum corps, I do want to give an update on fundraising. We have reached 40 members sponsored. So that's anyone that wants to sponsor a member and get a custom message inside their Aussie, or at the end of the season, the color guard will get one of the show flags.
Yeah,
and then
exciting.
Your personalized message will be attached to that flag and something they can keep for the rest of the summer. So it's exciting.
Very cool.
And we are at $15,000 already. So if we hit I think that means Chris Connick has to match $5,000 if I'm not mistaken. That's fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
So let's talk a little bit about the color guard right now. So
absolutely.
I mean, and you are wearing a lot of hats because you're on the design team and you're also working as a color guard caption head. So talk to me about all the things that are going and what it's been like taking that over the last 18 months.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. I think everyone in the drum corps is just humbled and excited that we actually have in-person DCI in some facet this year. So everything about that has really been encouraging and just heartwarming and an awesome experience. For all of the hats I am wearing, it's been nice to get a little input on the design end and see the inner workings of the show and the production, and then be able to carry those over from a choreographical standpoint to really make sure we are following through with the vision and trying to make it as effective and the best quality performance we can have at the end of the day. So it's been a lot, but it's also been a lot of fun at the same time.
Now, like all the other parts of the drum corps, we have one designer that designs. So like Noah Bellamy writes the drill, Daniel Montoya writes the music, but for you all, you're working with a team of choreographers that is the guard staff. So talk to me a little about that process on how you and Taikimbo basically are taking all that information for the show and building out what the drum corps looks like. So how do you coordinate all that? How do you communicate to the kids what they're doing?
This year actually has been particularly easy, even though this is a year back from COVID. All of the choreographers and the guard staff are very close friends of mine.
That's awesome.
We've either performed together or taught together in some way, shape, or form. So it's always been a very collaborative effort with open communication, and 9 times out of 10, we're always on the same wavelength. So at the end of the day, it makes everything a lot easier to get produced because we kind of have the same vision of what we want the color guard and the 2021 Madison Scouts to look like. Right. So it's really been an exciting time getting to do what we love with the people we love. So
that's
it's
fantastic.
Awesome.
Now, Chelsea totally saved me because we had a vision for the color guard costume and we got the sample. And Stanberry, our sponsor, is amazing, but the sample didn't come out the way that we wanted to. So we, right at the beginning of spring training, we totally took a left turn, and you helped me completely redesign the color guard costume. So we're not going to get to see it tonight, but we'll see it next Friday. Talk to me a little bit about what the members are going to be wearing, how you came up with like what that was going to look like and everything.
Yeah, we decided this year the simpler the better. It's a shortened season, and at the end of the day, our job is just to make sure every single performer looks and feels their best. So it will be a simple high-neck bike tard followed with high-waisted pants. They will be a wide-leg pant, so it's going to be nice to see that. Every member is in a unison costume. We have color blocking to help match the flags and the tarps that you'll see on the show a little bit later. So it really wraps in the entire production from what you see on the field to what they're spinning to what's on their bodies.
Yeah, and it came through fantastic. It was going to be super great. Well, I'm going to let you go back to warm-up.
Thank
so I just want to
you.
thank you so much for pulling you away from the students. I hope the guard has the best run of their season so far, and we'll see you when you guys take the field.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to my friends over here, Noah Bellamy, who's our visual designer, and then we're going to bring back Scott Borman to talk about some moments of Noah's favorite show here in a second. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about shoes, and I can't believe that I forgot to ask what Chelsea was wearing, but we do have some shoes. So show me what we got on our feet here, Noah.
All right. Well, tonight I have chosen the Nike Waffle 1 Active Fuchsias.
I like the color.
They tie into my shorts. I mean, it's all about coordination.
And the show?
And the show.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Noah, super excited to get to chat with you. Now, I think a lot of people probably don't know this. As a professional drill writer, your first half of your life was all about being a professional musician, yes?
It was.
Yeah.
I have 2 degrees in jazz performance and was a professional jazz trombonist. And spent the majority of my life touring as a trombonist with a number of different acts, and it was really when I first had our oldest child now, Madeline, that I wanted to stay home. I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit, and it just wasn't a feasible thing to be a touring professional musician with a family. So that's when I was really starting to get into drill writing, and then this taken us fast forward 10 years now and where we are tonight. So it's exciting.
You're going to hate this. Who did you get to tour with?
Well, my primary job for a number of years, I do hate this, was touring with Casey and the Sunshine Band as the trombonist.
Yeah.
And I also did a couple-month run with Barry Manilow and Gloria Estefan.
I love Barry Manilow. Yeah. He's my favorite. Yeah. I learned how to write a modulation from Barry Manilow.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And then I did some work with Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine, and then just some other groups that would come through town.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I know.
Okay.
I knew it was coming too.
I know. So, the coolest thing for me is just today, as Scott's been around the drum corps and everyone's kind of getting their little time, is that you spent so much time as like a jazzer, and you still do. You teach jazz band in the school, some of the schools that you work with. Yeah. Your favorite drum corps show of the Madison Scouts is '92. Yeah. What about that drum corps show affected you so?
Yeah, And we had talked about it a little bit earlier, but I went to high school at Centerville High School, which is still known as like the Centerville Jazz Band when it comes to marching band. And my freshman year in high school, we did like a very straight ahead jazz show. And then when we moved into my sophomore year, we were kind of doing more progressive things. We did Tower Power, we did Earth, Wind, and Fire, we did some other things. But that's where I really cultivated this love for jazz that drove me through my whole life. And I remember, 92 was my sophomore year in high school, and it was one of the first drum corps shows that I saw live at Soaring Sounds. And it was just the jazz influence was so different than what anybody else was doing at the time, and was so shocking to me. And wanted to talk to you about this and the difficulties involved in making a drum corps actually swing. We talk about that manufactured swing that a lot of groups or high school bands or whatever do, and how difficult it is. That 92 corps to me actually swung, which is amazing.
Well, you said this earlier today, and I told you it's the biggest compliment anybody could ever give me, because I completely agree. It is the hardest thing to make people spread across a football field do and be legitimate swing. Like you say, you can approximate it, and swing is not a triplet feel. It's not a straight eighth feel. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, depending on what era of jazz you're playing. And to really make that happen with a drum line and a front ensemble and a horn line scattered around the field, we just really worked hard at it. Yeah. And as a part of our daily exercises, we had specific exercises set up to get us to be able to accent the offbeats, and slur to the do da 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 da, and like as we were talking earlier, it's really hard to teach that to people who primarily have never really listened to that kind of music very often. Yeah. And I grew up in a house. My dad, we listened to Basie and all the big bands my whole life. That was just a part of my a part of my soul is feeling that whole thing. And so, and there's a reason why a lot of drum corps don't play swing, because it's so really hard. And so we would choose to do it, and we just worked really hard at trying it. We played a lot of recordings for the guys.
Yeah, that's huge.
And just made it a part of our all being is getting inside that groove.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, before we go to that, because we're going to watch a segment of 1992 City of Angels, don't go to scoutsproshop.com. Check out how we can help the drum corps, sponsor a meal, help us with our truck, or also just sponsor our memberships, Aussie or Flag. I know when we were telling the members today what was going to happen, they were super excited, and I was able to go to the member that I sponsored and told them that I was going to be in his hat or whatever, and he actually got really emotional about it. So it's a really direct way that you can affect a student and also support the Madison Scouts. So thank you in advance for your support. We're going to go now to 1992 City of Angels, Noah Bellamy's favorite Madison Scouts show.
And we're back.
We're back.
That's right. That's right. So we have just an update. Jason, can you do it so I don't mess it up?
Yeah, so we're up to $17.50. So $17,500.
I like the sound of that.
I want to make sure I say this right. The Ford Performing Arts Board of Directors has said that they will do a $6,500 match.
Ooh.
So then if we will get up $6,500 more, the Board of Directors collectively will match that.
That's fantastic.
So that will turn into a $13,000 match.
Holy smokes.
$13,000. So that will bring us up into the 30s.
That's incredible. So how can you do this? Well, you can visit scoutsproshop.com, right, David?
That's correct, yeah.
That is correct. Oh, I changed shirts.
Yeah.
There we go. You can purchase a meal. You can purchase an Aussie, which is what Jason's. This is your goal by the end of the night.
I like to. I'm like a sucker for the members, and so like when the meal came thing out, like we were in Cedarburg, and I told my wife, I was like, we have to sponsor a day of meals, and like see the kids know, and I like that.
Yeah, why not?
This is a really cool thing for me because I think that the members are going to love it. If you will, it's $250. You can sponsor anyone in the drum corps. We can assign someone for you, but I really want all 165 Madison Scouts to get a sponsorship.
Yeah.
And if you aren't connected and you don't know any individuals, we can assign someone to you. All of the performers on the field will have an Aussie. Front ensemble is not going to wear Aussies, but they're going to wear them out onto the field and then hang them on their keyboard. All of the marching members will have Aussies, so there'll be a custom message inside their Aussie for their performances, which I think is like the coolest thing ever. And then the color guard is going to get to keep a show silk, and then we'll put a message in the bag of the show silk that they get to take home. And every one of the members gets to keep their Aussie at the end of the season. And I just think that's like the coolest thing for you to directly affect a member and what they're doing.
They get to look at their Aussie before every show or every run through, and they get to see your message. If your name is Jack and you want to sponsor someone, if your name is Daniel, we have plenty of Daniels here that you can sponsor. And we've been seeing sponsors' names come all across the board on the bottom, which is fantastic. Speaking about names on the bottom, we have a new fresh name, a new fresh person joining us, the corps director, the programs director, David Lofi. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad we caught you. We know you're a busy man, so let's cut right to it. What are you wearing today? Oh, well, the camera can't move.
There he goes. Here we go.
So you're wearing the heat of the heat, right?
Yep. The Adidas Ultra Boost. I couldn't tell you what exactly or what the colorway is, but I certainly do love these shoes.
It's obvious.
I've worn them out pretty well here.
That's good.
It seems like you might have had other shoes you could have worn today.
I did, and I missed out.
It's been a busy day. Give him a break.
Okay. Well, there are plenty of shows that you can debut these shoes. So if you want to see David Lofi flex some heat on his feet, come to the shows, right?
Yeah. Drums on Parade.
Yeah. Drums on Parade.
Yeah. Now, David, we're about to do our first public performance for 2021. Now, talk to me about what the 18 months has been like for you as the programs director, and how getting to this moment is just going to release all of those, all of that anxiety as the programs director.
Yeah, the 18 months has been a really, really long wait. I mean, for all of us collectively. For me, I mean, this is my job day in and day out. So to sit behind a computer screen and to just be waiting for 18 months to actually do the thing again has been really challenging. So now to actually have that payoff tonight is going to be huge. The members had a great run through yesterday. It's going to be, I think, excellent tonight. So excited to see what they do.
Yeah, that's great. Now talk to me a little bit about your job day in, day out. We have a lot of faces and a lot of titles, but you're the programs director. So what is your position with the corps, and what are you doing on the day-to-day?
Yeah, so on the day-to-day, I'm mostly just coordinating the logistics of the drum corps, making sure that we show up places on time, the buses get us to where we need to go, the rehearsal schedule is all set with Nick Monzi and all those sorts of things. So it's hard to summarize what the corps director does, but it's really just kind of making sure that things run smoothly so that the design team and the educators can do what they need to do.
So you keep the plate spinning.
Yes, exactly.
He does. And you're not only the president, you're also a member. Shout out to you marched 2012, 2013, and 2014, correct?
That's right, yeah.
And then you were a drum major in 2014, right?
I was, yeah.
Was that a lot of fun for you?
It was fun. It was challenging for sure, but a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, I was fortunate enough to be on the educational staff, and he was one of the absolute best drum majors that I ever got to work with.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was the man.
That's the Thank
you. That's very sweet, very kind.
No, but because he was like Mr. Put the Fires Out.
Oh, that doesn't sound anything like David's been doing.
That's not unlike what the job is now, actually.
Yeah. So he was paired with Eric Perry, who's another great Madison Scouts drum major.
He's on the one of the giant tarps or the things that cover.
Yeah, and they were Mr. and Mr. Put the Fires Out.
Mr. and Mr. Fires.
Yeah, and calm like Dave, and he's still kind of like that. He's Mr. Calm.
He's a duck.
Doesn't overreact, and he gets the job done.
His feet underwater are going like this.
That's
but
correct.
He's just
I do my best.
That is
correct. Now, talk to me about do you want to enter the show?
You can go for it. Do whatever you want.
You got to do 3 shows as a member. Which of those 3 shows was your favorite and why?
Yeah, so I'll say first, I think the audience favorite is usually 2013. That's the people that go, they go to that and say 75th anniversary. Loved Never Walk in the Closer, and I loved that too. That was great. But for me, it was actually 2012 that I really fell in love with. Just the way that show was constructed, referencing old Madison Scouts things and blending it with the new. And then, I mean, to end it with Malagania and then The Great Gate of Kiev is just
Thank you for saying that.
Incredible, yes.
Yeah, and that was a Robert W. Smith production.
Yeah, and John Vanderkoff was writing the drill. He's
Yep.
now the visual designer at Blue Coats. Jim Moore was doing a lot of the vertical, everything, all the choreography and everything. It was a really solid team.
Yeah.
And we've had, in the Scouts history, so many, we focus so much on Scott, but we've had arrangers like Robert W. Smith and Georgeson in there, and it's just, there's so many iconic.
Jim Prime Jr.
Jim Prime
did
Jr.
2010. Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, and then it's us.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Well, that's So we'll talk about our design process later because right now we're just emceeing, but it is a humbling responsibility.
You stand in front of that arc and you're like, oh.
Now, to be honest, too, teaching 2012 was my favorite show to teach also. And the thing I think that about that drum corps, sometimes just the magic of like the personnel on the field, the education staff, and the design all clicks. And that show. The thing that I loved the most about it is how much it empowered the performers to have just reach the audience. And I felt like right from the beginning there was a lot of intrigue and a lot of different ebb and flow of the emotional context of the show. And you could see it. You go back and watch that show and it was amazing. I mean, the Great Gate, one of my favorite moments in drum corps history was the 12 Great Gate because it wasn't the slow ramp up. It was ram it down their throats. You guys were cranking in the company front.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Andy Ebert and the visual staff definitely cranked it up.
It was a challenge.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yes.
We might see one of those today. I'm not sure.
In the show snippets?
Maybe I guess we'll see a couple today.
You know, if people follow us on the gram, they would know what we've been hinting at so many visual musical things as we get into this. Now, David, later, you and Christopher Kromnick, if I may call him Christopher, y'all have a special announcement, don't you?
We do. We have a big announcement that nobody's going to want to miss. I'm not going to spoil any of it now, but I'm trying not to.
You're going to be Tom Holland, like the Avengers, and spoil things like, oh yeah.
I'll do my best not to.
Let's just say the shirt is not the tease.
This is not.
Yeah,
not a tease, but
it is a cool show. Yeah, scoutsproshot.com. There's a lot of cool merch that's come out. One of my favorite, and I've been asking for this for a long time. We now have a Madison Scouts dad hat.
Yep. I just got one myself.
Yeah,
I did.
And you are basically the Madison Scouts dad.
The core dad, sort of, yeah.
The core dad.
Say that.
So
I have.
Yeah, so the Madison green hat with the small fleur-de-lis Madison Scouts in the back. Perfect dad hat.
Yes.
I've got one. I'm going to start wearing tomorrow. I bought it this afternoon. Super excited about it. There's also we got the Japanese floor shirt.
That's
awesome. A lot of other great stuff in the pro shop.
And some favorites.
You can also get the Midwest Combine swag. That's the collection of Midwest drum corps that are performing this summer together.
You should totally buy it from us.
Oh, yeah.
More than anybody.
Only us, yeah.
Only us. I think we're the only ones that are selling the authentic when everyone else is
That's right.
fake.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
So, now, this crowd.
I know.
It's
There's a lot of
filling
people
up.
here.
Holy smokes!
This is great. This is great.
Oh my gosh! I can smell those cheese curds that we're cooking. We're not cooking cheese curds.
No,
David, you're a Wisconsin native, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm a Wisconsin native.
You're the great state, the cheese state.
Oh yeah, my whole life. Yeah.
Your whole life. What instrument did you play back in the day when you marched?
Euphonium. With the Madison Scouts.
Now, are you a euphonium player or a trombone player?
Was trombone in middle school and high school, switched to baritone for drum corps.
Now, am I remember you were asked to switch to euphonium? Is that correct?
Yeah, going into 20. Well, in 12 they didn't have any euphoniums, and then
correct.
they switched. Yeah. They had them in 13, and then I was one of the fortunate ones that got to carry those.
Yeah, it's an honor and a honor.
Yes,
it is.
Truly.
It is. I was just told we have 5 more minutes to fill.
Oh, wow. Great!
Wow,
That's
David,
awesome.
you want to? What do you like? People want to know about you.
What do I like?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Name anything. What's your favorite band?
My favorite band, well, since we're in Eau Claire, the band Bon Iver,
yes.
Those of you who have heard of them,
yes,
are based in Eau Claire.
Really?
So,
what?
That's my favorite.
What?
Yeah.
So
serious? When you see all the albums painted on different buildings in town, that's why.
Is that
what?
the special
My
the
mind
special
is
guest
blown.
tonight? No,
we'll see. That could be the surprise.
Well, that'd be a surprise to me. Wait a minute. Are we doing?
Wait, I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know either.
David
Lofi just blew our mind.
So they have like a studio here or something?
Yeah, they do. He has a home outside of town, and that's where he has his own studio.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you went to school in Eau Claire, correct?
I did.
And you still live here?
I did, yeah. So I did my undergrad here, and that's where I met Catherine, my wife. And then
congratulations.
We went away for 2 years, and now we've moved back, and we live in Eau Claire.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You moved like the same day the Corps moved in, right? Something like that?
Yeah, that's right. We bought a new home, and at the same time we were moving in, I had to come here. So
how many nights have you slept in your house?
Not many. Not enough.
not enough. On one hand, right?
Well, that's interesting because this is the first year that we've been able to have our spring training, really like midsummer training here at Eau Claire. Talk to me about the process of how we've gotten connected to the university and be able, because honestly, this is the best training facility I've gotten to be around.
Yeah, so I knew Randy Dickerson, who's the Blue Gold Marching Band director, through my time at Eau Claire, was in his band a number of years, and just through conversation with him, it started to become a possibility that we could be here. Started exploring that with university admin, and they graciously opened up to us, and it has been absolutely world-class from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, so the staff, it's really great, and I think it's important just because the modernization of drum corps, but like the members have gotten to sleep in dorms. The staff is in dorms. We have access to multiple fields, turf surfaces. Carson Park is it's actually in the city. It's a city-owned, correct?
Yep, the city.
So the city stadium, we've had some rehearsals here. Going to do the preview show. I mean, it's really like the ideal place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting on another update of our finances.
Ooh.
So we've hit 20.
Oh, wow.
20,000. So are we making the match? I don't know.
So we were at 17. So that means we've had $3,500, and we still are about $3,000 away from our FPA board match.
Yeah.
It's really cool because the way that I think that people see drum corps is we have this drum corps, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the Madison Scouts is not our organization. Our organization is actually Forward Performing Arts, and Forward Performing Arts is a nonprofit that manages all of our programs. Mm-hmm. So do you want to go through some of because that's your job. What are the programs that we offer?
Yeah, so we have two other ones. Forward Leadership, which Jason is the educational director of. If you're interested in having Forward Leadership out at your school, check out our website.
Doing a camp on Monday in Waco. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Robinson High School.
Yeah.
Shout out Robinson Rockets.
Go Rockets.
Yeah.
And then we also have Black Star Drumline, which is run by an alumnus, Joey Banks. He marched in the 80s.
Yeah, and then the Madison Scouts.
We do.
And then later segment, we're actually launching a new program, which is going to be the Madison Scouts Indoor Drumline, which will compete in WGI. Noah Bellamy and Josh Wendt are two of the design team members. I'm going to interview them about what they're seeing that. But we have four total programs now that we added that fourth one.
Yep.
And the FPA board is our nonprofit board, which basically manages all of our programs and makes sure that the budget's right. They do all those things and try and push us to reach more students. And that's the mission is to make sure we're reaching as many students in a positive way as possible. So the fact that these are volunteers serving on our board that want to match and donate, and I think that's amazing.
It is. It's fantastic. Of course, why would we say otherwise, right?
Yeah. No.
You mentioned some things. We want to give a quick shout out since we have some time to fill. Really, we're being shown live by Box 5. So, so shout out to the Box 5 folks for making us look and sound good because you don't really see what's the frazzled nerves behind the scenes back there.
Yeah, and really cool fun fact about Box 5, they just got the contract for Music for All, so
they're
going to be streaming all of the Music for All events this fall. So if you want to check out anything for band this fall, band related, Box 5, they're going to do everything. And we actually, Daniel and I were able, I don't know if you know this, we're able to do be a part of the broadcast for the Texas State UIL marching contest.
Very cool.
And
famous.
Yeah, Box 5 has done that forever, and we always had a super positive experience.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. And we have Nick Putnam up running the ones and the twos right now. Handling all the fundraising, the Scouts Pro Shop. He also did a huge, massive website update.
Yeah, so if you go to madisonscouts.org, it'll take you to the new FPA site, forwardperformingarts.org, and it's a really amazing site, and it really showcases what we're trying to do as a broader mission rather than just what the Madison Scouts do, which is what we could say the crown jewel of our organization.
Which, if I can plug really quick, we do our audition packets are live right now for 2022. So if you're interested in joining the Corps, head over to Scouts Pro Shop. You can learn all about the audition process on madisonscouts.org. It's all up there for you.
Yeah, and fun fact, every single one of the caption heads, every single one of the design team is committed to next year. Yeah. So what you see a glimpse tonight now, we've already talked about it. I don't want to sandbag, but it is we've 18 days putting this show together. But the membership is really a result of our outstanding education team. All new instructional staff in 2020, and they all stayed on board, and they've done an outstanding job, and all of them have committed to next year. We're super excited about it. So it's going to be a really exciting thing. So if you like what you see, or you have students that you can affect, we would love to have you audition next year. Check it out online, buy an audition packet, and come join us next summer.
That's good. So you mentioned what's your favorite show?
2012.
Reframed. And Reframed. So what are we going to watch, David?
We are going to be watching Malagania to the end of the show, so you'll see the rotating company front. Great K to Kiev. It will be wonderful.
Will we see you in there? Where are you in the gate?
In the rotating line, I'm the third from the right side at the
third
very
from
end.
the really short guy, right?
He's really tall.
You can't tell right now, but he's really kind of hunching right now.
Whenever we're in trouble, because I'm the one that gets in trouble sometimes, it's actually kind of daunting because he's so tall.
He is. And he's just he's very dad-like. I'm not mad.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, but he smiles at you. He's sport.
So David Lofi's favorite Madison Scouts show that he marched 2012. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Chris Conlon and Dan Peterson, the Madison Scouts.
They aren't really counting us off. I just like to nod my head when they're counting on there. I just got this message that we are $1,000 away from completing the board match.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's 4 Aussies.
That's 4 Aussies, 4 sponsored members, and we'll hit that $1,000.
We will. We will. So what are you waiting for? Maybe they're waiting for the show, and they're going to pick out their player.
That's fine.
That's fine.
As long as I want to get to 165 Aussies at the end of the night.
It's not. I mean, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Scott Borman asked you to do it.
Yeah.
Now,
can you imagine what it would be like if we only got to 155 and there were 10 kids that didn't have sponsors inside the Aussies?
Can you imagine how awful that would be?
I would feel awful.
I would feel awful. I would feel awful. But you know what's not awful? What Josh Wendt is wearing on his feet. Can we get the camera person to show what Josh Wendt is wearing on his feet today? Josh, tell everyone what you're wearing.
We've got some Nike SB Dunks here.
Oh.
That are the color palette of the show. So,
there's colors
little
in the show?
preview.
Colors in the show?
What are the colors?
There might be.
Yeah.
Oh, there's colors?
Right here.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Well, now, Jason, why don't you introduce these folks again and tell us why we're all here?
Yeah, so Noah Bellamy is back for more. Josh Wendt is our visual coordinator, so he does all of the visual coordination of that part of the show with Noah and also does all of the brass and percussion choreography. We already kind of announced it, but we are starting a new indoor percussion line for WGI this next year, and that's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Yeah, so the design team is these 2 gentlemen plus Matt Hahn and Ryan Ellis, who are our battery and front ensemble electronics arrangers. And they're not here today, but these 2 gentlemen are. Just talk to me about, like, indoor percussion. So we are going to have a year-long percussion program. We have the Madison Scouts for half the year, and then the Madison Scouts indoor percussion line. You know, what's your backgrounds in WGI indoor percussion?
Would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah. So I've done ton of indoor percussion groups with high school, independent percussion as well as kind of helped jumpstart the indoor winds programs with groups like Strike Winds. So been super excited about that. I'm really, really pumped and looking forward to working with Noah on an independent project because we've always kind of been side by side in the same state and always right there next to each other, but now we get to do it together. So super pumped for that.
And as a visual designer, I really got started in the winter. I started when I was living in Florida, worked with Strike Percussion, was one of the first groups that I did, and I now work with Infinity Percussion, and then a bunch of different high schools around the country, and I've just always had a passion and a love for doing winter. There's a lot of things and risks that we can take, and it's just a whole different medium to do what we do, and I've always been a fan of it, and part of that could be because that's where I started, but I'm very, very excited about this. For the design aspect of it and us all working together. But then also I think this is one of those things that just came out of COVID where with Mad U, we got to work with these kids a lot, like throughout the year, and we almost created a year-round curriculum visually and musically for a lot of these people, and now we get to do this with the percussionists as well and also take it and be competitive and travel and do what I think kids really love to do, and that's go out and perform and compete.
Yeah, we just met the match, by the way.
We just met the match?
We just met the match.
Let's go.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, that's because we announced Mad Door.
Mad Door.
No, we're not going to call it that?
So, no, we're not.
Right.
So Josh was actually the first person that asked me, is like, what could we do a Madison Scouts indoor percussion? So Josh, first year as in such a big role at the drum corps, why were you so interested in doing a parallel program in the same organization? Because you instantly were like, I want to do a show with Noah and Matt and Ryan. So talk to me just about what excited you about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really exciting and interesting opportunity to bring the brand of the Madison Scouts to indoor and to capture what that looks and sounds like, but in our own unique way to where we could create an ensemble parallel to the Scouts that, is just as exciting, just as unique, and you can instantly recognize both visually or audibly as the Madison Scouts. So that was something that was really exciting to me, as well as kind of building a repertoire of skills, musically, visually, design elements, theatrics, that we're going to see in both seasons, and just really honing the students' skill sets going forward. I thought that's
I think one of the things that's really important, too, to bring up that I think is unique and great from an educational standpoint is that it's the same people that are teaching this drum corps, writing for this drum corps that are also doing the winter, so these kids really are getting training with the same people. I know that it's not just a group that's in the umbrella of the Madison Scouts. This is the exact same arrangers and composers and educators that they're working with right now. They'll get to work with them again in the winter, and I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Most of our percussion staff is centered in Cincinnati and the Dayton area, and this drum line will be centered in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I think it's an important element to focus on. It's also neat because we're really thankful our sponsor Yamaha has been really, really gracious, and they're going to work with our schedule so that we get everything that we need. So the indoor percussion group will be performing on all Yamaha equipment. We also sponsored by Flash, is our sponsor that does all of our aesthetics for flags and tarps and vinyl and stuff, and they're going to be sponsoring what we do with the floor, which is going to be great. And then Stanberry, our costume company, is going to be sponsoring what we do, and so all that stuff is going to be great because the design team is going to be able to use the same relationships that we do to make the Madison Scouts show go around to do the indoor
it's
show.
huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Great.
And I've known Ryan and Matt forever, and we've done a lot of different projects together. And I'm just excited to do another one with them. I mean, there's a synergy there amongst the three of us, and to add Josh in there, I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah, now we have decided to do start out in the WGI Open classification.
Yep.
So talk to me about when the four of you were talking, it was almost unanimous, like, no, we're going to launch this thing at Open, get a really strong foundation. Talk to me about why that was important for this new part of the Madison Scouts and why you guys felt like that was a good choice.
I think especially building the brand and having that confidence in competing in a class that is a little bit lower risk, but we can still be artistic, we can still challenge the students, and whether we get promoted instantly or not, I think we have a strong base and a strong starting point to enter that class, be competitive, be educational, be artistic, all those different things, and the students, the designers, the crowd all gets to experience that level of confidence in the first year, which I think is really important.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really well said. There's a certain amount of I don't know, pressures obviously that come with the world class that I don't think any of us want to dive right into that pool right now. It's especially as a first year. Being in a situation where we can, that was exciting.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap this up now. Awesome. So we're starting an indoor drumline.
Yeah.
Noah's
Hey guys, thank you so much.
We're marching 12-minute indoor drumline shows.
Yeah.
Hey, so what we're going to see in here first is the first half of our show.
Yeah.
We're going to come back, talk a little bit, do the second half of the show.
So then we're going to do
then we're going to do designer interviews. You get to ask us questions. So during the show, start asking questions if you want them answered on the Facebook Live feed. If you're watching the YouTube feed, go to the Facebook Live feed, and we can answer questions.
I think it's important. So this is what we're calling basically a community preview. Our first show is next Friday. So what you're going to see is a complete production. We do have some filling in to do in part 3, which is the ballad. But I think it's important just for what your eyes are going to see. You're going to get to see everything in motion. We are going to do an encore performance, so we will arc it up and do a standstill of the music only. And then we're going to wrap up this with a performance of You'll Never Walk Alone with the composer-arranger of our arrangement, Mr. Scott Borman.
That's right. So to see everything and hear everything next Friday in La Crosse.
That's right.
So I guess we'll go to the box, and then we'll see you in a few minutes.
That's exciting.
Get those questions ready.
We hope you own it. This is the Madison Scouts premiering 2021 Between the Lines.
All right. Well, so Jason, we had some interesting updates. Oh, yeah. So why don't you fill them in on some information?
Yeah, it's awesome. So earlier today, and I meant to say this before we started, our center drum major, who's the
Daniel
pulse point, had basically was sick with heat illness, and so the training staff, who we have an amazing athletic training staff, and that take care of the members, make sure that they're safe at all times. We don't ever push too hard. They actually came up and told us that earlier this morning that he should probably not perform tonight.
Right.
So we are fortunate. We have 5 drum majors. So that the run tonight, we have 2 brass staff on the backfield, and we have drum majors pushed around in different places.
Right.
So
right.
because of that, the instructional staff, that was the best that we would do. The on the move things with the Met, which is totally fine. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was safe and we could get through the show in one piece. But that is why you heard a Met during that performance.
Yeah.
And I meant to say it was so funny. We were talking about the indoor drum line, and the core was right behind us, and it was insane.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make sure that understanding on why that was the way it was.
Yeah, you're not going to hear beats through the show when we do it in real life. It was just it was really hot. Is this the hottest day of the year?
Yeah, it was like I think we measured like 115 on the turf.
And we're in the Midwest. We left Texas for the cool, calm weather, but it was really hot. The kids worked really, really hard, and then, some of the kids just pushed themselves a little too much, but that's why we have athletic trainers, and that's why they make these decisions. So we just saw part 1 and 2, which are basically connected to each other. Right. We don't want to go too much into detail.
So after we do, we see part 3 and part 4. We are going to go the 4 designers that are on tour right now are going to go through and talk about the show and talk about what some of the meanings are before we do a standstill run, so you can see it in its entirety, just the musical form.
Yeah.
But it's super exciting because there's a lot in there. We're saving the aesthetics for next Friday. We're really excited about it. We are going to do a little bit of a preview at the end of this broadcast. Are we not?
Are we?
Your video that you uploaded.
Oh, you need to stick around.
Yeah.
You need to stick around. Yeah. It might actually be you stick around to the end because you're going to want to donate money anyway. So you should totally do that.
Yeah.
So basically, you're not seeing. Are we seeing any show flags in the show?
We're teasing just because of the shape of the ballad show flags, which you're about to see will be out there. We do have a vinyl setup that's going to be on the field, and there's some costume sneaky peeks that we do a costume reveal in the color guard, which is going to be here. We'll talk about that during the design portion.
Yeah.
But we did see Aussies on the members during that run.
Does that mean they're wearing Aussies?
They are wearing Aussies.
Well, we're doing an Aussie challenge.
What would be really great is if where a member could see a personalized message on the inside of their Aussie.
How could they do that?
So if you go to Madison Scout or scoutsproshop.com, you can actually sponsor a member's Aussie and have a personalized message.
I like where this is going. I'm seeing if Nick's already sent. We have no updates right now.
That's okay. That's fine.
That's okay.
So,
That's okay.
And then we are wearing Aussies this year, and a lot of people ask that, and we are going to see some glimpses of what you are used to seeing. The Madison Scouts want to be recognizable, but I think we're going to be really excited about the look of the color guard because this is the first inclusive year. So we had some decisions to make when we were addressing the drum corps, like how are we going to handle that? And what we decided is that the members are members and they should be treated equally. So we are doing a unisex costume for the color guard, so they're all wearing the same thing. We're really excited about how it's come together. Stanbury's done a great job, and we're revealing all that at the show next Friday. It's going to be great.
So what are some of the things that maybe, as we're about to see part 3 and 4, you mentioned the gender inclusion, like is there something happening on the field for the first time in Madison Scouts history?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's important as you go through is just understanding, like from a creative standpoint, we do have more tools in the toolbox here because we've been inclusive. So we can pair different genders before that we could not. The other thing that we can do is that there's something about the art of dance and the way that two people will dance together, and we use that as we go through part 3. And as you can say, there was like little Latin flares there. We crank up the Latin a little bit more when we go through the production, but we'll talk about we do.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I wonder why we do that.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that after the show.
It seems like you should just read between the lines.
Yeah. What has come before and what has yet to come.
Right.
Yeah.
I was told that we really need to drive the donating. I think people. You know what? You were busy watching the show.
Yeah.
And now you have a minute or so before you can watch again, and then you should really just keep donating. We have 50 minutes left in our broadcast.
Wow.
So
they'll
get to see and hear the next half of the show. Then they get to hear from us because they haven't heard enough from us.
Yeah.
And then they get to hear the show in its music entirety.
Yeah,
and
so we're going to do an encore standstill. And Scott mentioned this earlier. Yesterday was the first full run. The education teams take a really measured approach rather than just throw. I mean, honestly, 18 days is pretty fast.
Yeah.
But we didn't learn every single day. So there was a lot of review catch-up days. So last night was the first run that we had done of the show without the Met. And our eyes are set on lacrosse on Friday.
Yes.
Nick Monzi, who's our educational coordinator or educational director, is working with the captain heads on the long-term plan and how we go from today all the way to the last performance on August 14th. And they've done done an amazing job. Most of the design team has been in this week. We've gotten to work with the education staff, and it's been really, really, really great. So I'm looking forward to seeing the performers do the other half and then the standstill performance. But I can't wait to see us hit the field next Friday.
Oh, it's going to look amazing. It's going to be amazing. I'm trying to see if the discussion, how it's going. I don't know how this thing works.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. But ask your questions in the YouTube feed. Yeah. I'm going to go around YouTube, Facebook. We'll see what we're doing.
After the next chunk of performance, we're going to see the next two productions of the show. Then Noah, Josh, Daniel, and I are going to sit in these chairs, and we're going to go through some of the production and explain it. Mm-hmm. So if you have questions about the show, or that you like what you see, or you want to ask about, one of the things I think I've seen a lot is talking about how much music we have shoved into the show.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
So we'll definitely talk about that, and we'll definitely talk about how the concept came to light. We took a really interesting approach in how we designed this show, just because of the pandemic. We wanted to make sure that we were being responsible with how we put it together. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, we feel really good about some of the things we learned from that. So
yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Have you bought your Aussies? We have.
I did. Yeah,
we did.
I sponsored
Should we
Daniel
buy some
Modal.
more?
Yeah,
Daniel Modal.
That's who I did.
Should I spoil who I sponsor?
Yeah, sure.
Look for a very short gentleman who's playing a solo in this next section. I sponsored that gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
He won't know because he's on the field getting ready to go.
So Daniel Modal is our veteran drum major, and this is his fourth year. I think he was in 18.
He was 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah,
so
fourth year.
So, and he's actually the one that is injured today, so he's not performing with us, unfortunately.
Right.
I'm missing his premier age-up performance. I bet he's super bummed. But I hope he recovers well. And then what's going to happen is I wrote him, we've been working with the drum corps, and I've gotten to do a lot of one-on-one with him, just talking about how to run a rehearsal, all the things. He's doing a great job as the lead drum major for the Madison Scouts. And I think that it's going to be great because I was able to write him a personalized message, and it's going to go inside his Aussie, so every time that he puts his hat on before a performance, he can see that message from me.
And he's going to think about you.
Well, and how you are able to support the members of the Madison Scouts.
Yeah, and honestly, we joke around and stuff, but that's really what everything that we're doing is about, is in support of these young human beings, to get them playing and moving and marching and spinning and growing. Because we don't just, it's not just band 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like they're learning skills, life skills that are going to help them as we move on.
Well, and I think the thing that's great in this opportunity is that you can go in and you can support a drummer, chugga.
You
want to someone in the front ensemble, someone in the color guard, one of the horn line members. You can do all of that, and that's going to be great. So, that's cool. So
it's going to be great.
Yeah, the other thing that's going to happen at the end is I think is really neat is that Scott Borman is here, and you saw all of the interviews that we did together. He was a cornerstone of this drum corps.
Yes.
So today was a really important moment for us, especially for Daniel, just as like bridging into the next era of the brass arranging the Madison Scouts. But we got to see him today, and I didn't want to embarrass him too much when he was on camera. We got to see him work with a horn line. And that Scott Borman musicianship and really, really like shape things that were happening in the arrangement. And that's how we're going to end our performance day is Scott Borman conducting Everwalk, which I'm super excited about.
It's going to be incredible. I mean, it was moving in practice. Tonight I can only imagine what it's going to be like. So it looks like our members are coming back. So we're going to hear and see part 3 and 4.
That is right.
Probably with the metronome.
That is correct.
That is correct. Yeah. I'm wearing the Midwest Combine shirt, which you can purchase.
So what is the Midwest Combine? Can you share what that is?
I guess in the 70s, the tours were regionalized, so there was DCM, right, and all that stuff, and so they would do a mini tour. And this year it's Phantom, Madison, Blue Stars, Cavaliers, and Colts. And it's just like a mini competition. It's just these corps. We're going to everybody's shows for 2 weeks, and then we all up in Indianapolis. We all end up in Indianapolis. Oh, the Midwest Combine. All right, so here's part 3 and 4. We'll be back after this one. Get your questions ready. We're going to answer them.
So as we come back, the full design team will be in between while they set up for their encore concert. If you have any questions for the design team about the show, we'd love to answer them. We are going to talk about the process and how we went through. We're really fortunate. This was our second show we got to do together, and we will talk all about it. So the more questions, the more we get to answer your questions versus what just comes out of our brain. So this is the second half of Between the Lines, Madison Scouts performing parts 3 and 4 of their 2021 production.
Now?
How long is this?
We got like 30 minutes. Oh, my God, we're back.
We're back.
Oh, my gosh. So I'm looking at all. Well, there's not a lot of questions. It's like, go Maddie. Oh,
That's
speaking,
fine.
Madison or Maddie?
Madeline.
Maddie.
Madeline.
Oh, my God. Do you want to say hi to your daughter?
Hi, Maddie. Hi, Cece.
Now, Maddie has asked, this is a very important question, why I keep changing shirts. And I just want you to know that the reason I change shirts is because I want to promote the Madison Scouts, and I like to do costume changes. There's really nothing out. I'm wearing a hat now.
And all of these shirts are available online or at a show.
The Chris Komnick shirt is not, but all three of the other shirts that I've wore, you can purchase from the Scouts.
Well, it's not live TV without a wardrobe change.
That's the thing. I mean,
it's a show.
It is. This is a show. This is a live. We're hosts.
We're live.
We're live. We did it live. All right. So,
so first of all,
what, the money?
No.
Oh.
Well, yes. You need to go and buy an Aussie or a flag on the Pro Shop. But this is only 4 members of the design team, so we have 3 members missing. So Ryan Ellis.
They're the same guy.
Ryan Ellis and Matt Hahn, who are percussion rangers. Then Chelsea Adenas, who's the color guard caption head, but also helping with all of the color guard things that in the design are not here because Chelsea is taking care of the color guard, and then Matt and Ryan aren't here right now.
Yeah.
So there is 3 people missing.
So I'll ask a basic question, even though I know the answer is why did you title the show Between the Lines?
Josh?
Yeah, so, I mean, we are basically between the lines of what has written and what we as the Madison Scouts want to do with those notes and the structure of the field. So that's basically the premise of the idea. And you can take that and run with it however you want as an organization, where we want to be. But that's basically the premise of the show, what the color palette is at the beginning, what it is at the end, all of those kind of surprises that we have in store for you, both musically and visually. We are operating between the lines. We're kind of caught literally between being bound and being free. So
it'll make more visual sense once everything is added.
We have some
not
other
all
surprises.
there.
You have to go to the show. So if you go to the show next, or you can stream it too.
You can stream it on Friday. Any of the next 11 shows.
Lacrosse, we'll have everything out there, and you'll be able to see all of them. But there are aesthetics on the field. We're using vinyl tarping. We do have costumes that change in the color guard, and then we are using have a very specific color layout with the silk designs.
Yeah, that's going to be incredible. Now I know the answer to this kind of. Jake, we're just say Jake M. Is guitar/bass staying in the Scouts for good, and what inspired the choice for this year?
Well, so I mean, it's always about trying to create and find opportunities for featured performers. So, the way that Matt Hahn and Ryan Ellis wanted to construct the aesthetic of the percussion package, and then also just seeing what was out there, we had, some really interesting talent. And Ricky, our bass guitar player, was not supposed to play acoustic guitar, but we got to the end and we were just like, this would be great. And we, reached out to Ricky, thought if he could do it. He has never played classical guitar before this season, and he's just totally killing it. Every day that I hear him play, he's getting better and better and better. Yeah. And so, it's more about just trying to figure out what fits in the show and then having those positions added for availability. Now, there are one thing that I think is important is that we did add the cymbals back this year into the percussion section.
We sure did.
And as that lines up, we are now starting this indoor group, so that will be something that stays, and that will be something that we want to be consistent from the winter into the summer.
Sure. Yeah. You got a lot of compliments on your pinwheel, as it was called.
Oh, the pinwheel.
the rotating pinwheel. Company front.
Yeah, what was that like when we decided that you were going to get to do that?
There's a couple things that were just incredibly exciting as a visual designer and growing up. I'm maybe the eldest member of the design team.
I mean, based on the look.
Hey, Dad.
So,
grandpa.
And so, one of the things that this. Being the drill designer for the Madison Scouts, it's the people throughout history that have done these really iconic moves, and for me to have the opportunity to be able to do these was amazing. So in the second movement, I got to do the iconic fleur de lis, which has been shown up throughout the years, and then of course the rotating company front in the closer, the M at the end of the intro. There's just a lot of these things that as a drill writer you watch these and you never think that one day you're going to have the ability and the opportunity to do these and to put these on the field and to write them. And it was a really surreal moment, and I'm sure Daniel feels a lot of the same ways, because this really is just we're so happy and blessed to be doing this. And those were those moments where I was writing them and seeing it on the computer, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just did this. This is crazy.
Yeah. Like so Zachary Tibbs, actually, it's very similar. When choosing music, how do we go about choosing the selections? And
That's an interesting story. So it all started out. So last year when we were doing the 2020 show, we talked about that in a YouTube video. You can see I kind of go through the process of what the 2020 show was going to be, and we're not going to off-shelf that. It's just going to stay on the shelf forever.
You can learn about that on our Behind the Fleur,
right,
by the way.
Right. So Josh found this. It's Hakeem Horsley. Is that right?
I think it's Joaquin.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
Okay. He has this album that's all symphonic works that he's turned into Latin piano tunes. Mm-hmm. And Josh showed it to me and was like, I would love to do this. And so just in the pandemic, I was just running a lot and like constantly listening to these playlists. And I told Josh came to Austin to do work with some band. I said, I think this is what we need to do. And I was also listening to a lot of musicals. And so obviously, In the Heights just came out, and I was like, I think that there's something here with this concept and this concept. So actually the show started out where we were just going to do a ton of classical music, Latin style.
Yes.
And then we met for the first time, and we realized that might not be, you're not going to be able to sustain that for 10 minutes.
No, we couldn't do that.
Yeah, so talk about kind of how you took it from that to starting to pick all the music and infuse it that we did.
You know what? The best thing to say is there is a Looney Tunes Merry Melodies old snippet. I think it's called like Island Symphony or Symphony Islands. Basically, it's the string island versus the jazz island. I think a saxophone falls in love with a cello.
Yeah.
And it's like a battle between the two styles of music, and then they ultimately join those styles of music. So that's what this show is. It's the battle between classical music and Latin music. I guess ultimately Latin wins, but for Elise is Latinized. And you say it best at the end of so the show's 4 movements, 1, 2, which are connected, 3, 4. At the end of part 2, we have this battle that goes on, which we go duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, and it goes back and forth. So you hear a Latinized version of like La Malagueña or Malagueña, and then you hear a classical version with the harpsichord. So then you hear for Elise played Latinized, and then they play classical. So it's this idea of we want it both ways, which is kind of the Madison Scouts struggle. It's like, we want to do this. No, you got to do Latin. Oh, you really want it? No, you got to do Latin. They did it 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And so it's this idea that the Madison Scouts, the design team, really wants to take it somewhere else, and we go, we can coexist. We can make everything work musically, which is what we did.
And so what we do is we basically, as a design team, we will start a Spotify playlist, and I just start dumping stuff in there. And Josh found this really awesome Afro-Cuban version of Fleur Elise. And so we've kind of joked that it's Fleur Elise. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Fleur de Lis, Fleur de Lis,
Fleur de Lis or whatever. So, and do you want to talk about the ballad a little bit and how that moment came out? That's everything kind of came out from that moment.
It did.
Yeah, no, I mean it was cool because there's something that you said about Fleur Elise and the Fleur de Lis, kind of making that analogy. But I mean, just taking that moment that is the Fleur Elise and it's classical and straight up, and the other elements of the field are turning that into the Latin feel of that, and that's the first moment where we feel those two like really actually overlap. That pushes us into the closer, which is all Latin.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And you hear that 4 times in the show. So you hear the very first thing you hear our piano soloist playing for Elise, and then we end part 2 with it in like that Latin feel, and then part 3 is where we have like the baritone solos coming in, and then the Afro-Cuban beat and everything. And the very last thing you hear when Noah pushes us into the lines between the lines,
the pinwheel.
Yeah, the pinwheel.
The pinwheel. The great gate.
You hear it that final time, and we've culminated into like the antagonist, the protagonist of the Color Guardians has changed the whole field Latin. So.
It's great. It's great. There's so many great compliments. A few haters on there. I don't know why you took the time to
Daniel,
hate on
haters
there.
are going to hate.
You know what? If you're not making someone mad, you're not doing a good job, I guess. But thank
true.
you for your comment, Pam. We really appreciate it. We'll take that into consideration when we design next year. How old is the core? Do we have an average age for that?
Well, that's actually interesting because when it is.
You know, what's interesting about that?
What's interesting about that is Chris Komnick would say is that because of the pandemic, we did this Mad Youth thing and we really engaged a lot of members. And so our average age is over 19 and a half.
Yeah, 19
and most of those members were contracted in 2020 and stayed with us through this whole 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's been interesting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So how many pieces of music did we use this year? Do you remember?
A lot.
Like 18.
Yeah.
It's 18. Now, Flo Marching goes, is 18 too many? I mean, is it too many?
Yeah. Well, and you hear it more in part 2 because that's where you go through the greatest hits there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And I don't know if you caught it.
Just leave. I think they're doing their thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This is like Abbott and Costello over here. This is amazing.
There's the third and fourth. You need 2 wheels to drive a car, but we're front wheel drive right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's ask you, what's your favorite jazz portion of this show, Noah?
Okay.
Are you happy?
We don't need to talk about that.
So one of the things I did want to talk to Josh about, and I think that it's important for you guys to go back, is like how you dug into the visual aesthetic of the Madison Scouts as you wanted to design, especially from, I mean, the course doing a lot of choreography, Josh. A lot.
Yeah, well, even the differences of choreography that you see, like the beginning is, I mean, obviously they're in the form of the music staff lines across the field, but all the choreography at the beginning is more classically trained and more, uptight and buttoned, and just the look of the drum corps is very neutral and very sophisticated, but the style changes as the music changes. So this is a show that really, honestly, derives a lot of the visual inspiration, choreographically or aesthetic-wise or drill-wise, from what we're hearing and trying to match those ideas. So you'll see that in the choreography. You'll see that in the drill itself. You'll see how things connect. You'll see color palettes change. You'll see flavor introduced in different ways where the music and the visual kind of show you exactly what that should feel and sound like.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that in the field setup as well, which we didn't get the full effect of, as well as the silks. There's a lot of that visual flavor that you're talking about that's missing in this tonight that we'll have to see, that will debut at our first show next Friday, which I think is huge.
You've been really busy this week on your computer and Pieware.
You didn't hang out with us last night. Why was that?
Yeah, so talked about like this week. So this week has been what we call our production week. All of the designers have been in and out. So what's your week been like, and what have you been focusing on the past 7 days with the drum corps?
Yeah, when we come in, I mean, I'm first and foremost, like I think a lot of drill writers, like they're teachers first, and I still do a lot of teaching. I have spent a lot of time with the horn line, cleaning drill, and really getting my hands dirty, which all people that I look up to that have inspired me to be a great drill writer, they're also great visual teachers, and we're caption heads and still love to get in and do that. There's also a component of what we do where we come in and we assess what's going on, and if something needs to be adjusted or changed, we do that. So there was a lot of that getting done with ensemble at 10 o'clock at night and going back to the hotel room and saying, this is going to work a lot better for the drum corps if this is adjusted or if this is here, whether it's the battery or the guard or even the horns. There's a lot of stuff that we're just constantly assessing and seeing what we can make just better, whether it's an effect or to keep the music ensemble. There's a lot of moving parts here in these shows, and so just always having that willingness to adjust things, and I think that's what's great about this team, is that there's very few egos here, that if something needs to be changed, we change it, because ultimately we want the kids to be successful more than anything in the world. So if that means I need to go home and rewrite something, we rewrite something. If we need to change a horn part, we change a horn part. Like it's just what needs to be done. So
all friends, no foes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Josh, tomorrow's a big day for you. We want to tell the viewers what's going on tomorrow. I mean, you're basically on call all day tomorrow.
Yeah, and probably the next day. Honestly, we are filling all of the back half of the show. So all of that kind of like romanticizing of that third movement, the two different types of music and motion coming together. You're going to see that tomorrow, or we're about to see it tomorrow. Yeah. So that all goes in tomorrow. We're going to be real busy learning, so it'll be good. Awesome. Break for the chops.
Well, we're about to, I know you're tired of hearing us talk. We're going to get back to the drum corps. So just the last thing we say before we see the drum corps one more time is that we are trying to drive a fundraiser to ensure that the Madison Scouts have what they need and get down the road. We've had a great night so far. Do we have an update of the fundraising?
Well, Nick Putnam is very much just asking for more money. We got a lot of sponsorships, but the more the better. We need more Aussies and guard sponsors specifically.
So we're around $31,000, which is fantastic. I mean, to do that in a couple hours is great. We do want to try and push to $50,000 tonight, so get that in. Any way that you can help. You can help with meals. You can help support the new truck. You can help support the members. That's the thing I'm pushing tonight. And it would be really great if we got up to 165 by the time we get to the end of the summer for these kids. All right, so we're going to wrap it up and send to you. We are about to do a standstill performance of Between the Lines all through all four parts, and then we're going to close it out with a Never Walk Alone performed by the horn line with Scott Borman conducting.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Madison. I play trumpet for the Madison Scouts. this uniform is just, it just feels surreal because, you know, for a long time I wasn't able to do this and be in this corps. So to have this uniform on is a crazy experience, and I don't know, it's just, I'm at a loss for words. It just feels so good to be in the uniform and be here.
Oh my God, we're back already.
We are.
Yeah. Keith Blankenship, thank you for your donations, and please buy everybody drinks at Indianapolis when we come in there. Okay, so we've been teasing this all day long. A huge announcement. So I'm not going to tease it or anything. Why don't let's just throw it to the peanut gallery. What are we going on? What are the guys' names?
Gallery.
What are the old man's names on the Muppets when they're in the balcony?
Oh gosh.
I mean, that's y'all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently.
Anyway.
You know, this is pretty monumental for the Madison Scouts organization, and I'm going to give David the pleasure of delivering this information because he's really been the one behind it, driving it. So go ahead, David.
All right. Well, in January of 2023, the Madison Scouts will be taking a 3-week trip to South America.
What? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
That's insane.
So December 30th to January 18th, we will be touring from Santiago, Chile, all the way over to Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Holy smokes.
We will take a cruise ship along the coast around Cape Horn. And
does this mean we need to play Latin music for 3 more years, or what?
Hey, that could be what it means.
So what does that mean? Like, explain who can do this. How do we do this? What's going on?
Yeah, so this is open to any of the 2021 or 2022 members. So if you're thinking about auditioning, this might be an extra incentive to come on out to the Scouts. In addition, we are offering travel packages for family, friends, and alumni who are wishing to join us.
Alumni can go?
They can. And actually, I'll say, too, if they can't go with, but they're interested in sponsoring a member's trip, they can donate in that way as well.
After they've sponsored an Aussie.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
And or a meal.
That is correct.
Or something. That is correct. That is correct. Wow, that's insane. So you said a cruise? Or what did you say? I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll be getting
obviously they got to get on a boat.
Yeah, so the Norwegian cruise, it's the Starship, they call it, the Starship. So we'll be on there for about 15 days of that trip, and then the bookends will be in Santiago and Buenos Aires doing standstill performances in different locations around town.
Wow. So if you're on a boat, is it just fun in the sun, or are they going to work on the boat?
It is mostly fun in the sun,
okay.
But there will, when we have days at sea, so days where we're not at port somewhere, we will perform on the ship for other patrons.
What?
Yeah.
This is like a first in DCI? I've never heard of this kind of thing happening before.
It's going to be an incredible trip. I mean, David and I were talking a lot about this over the course of the last couple of years, and we said, you know, one of the things we want to get back into our organization is international travel. The group traveled in 1947 to France.
Mm-hmm.
They traveled again to Europe. They hit England, the Netherlands, and Germany in 1988, right before the championship. And we think that international travel is going to be such a key experience for the membership. Mm-hmm. There's so much to be learned, so much to explore, and we can't think of a better place to go to for the Madison Scouts than South America.
I'm kind of speechless right now. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. How can they learn or obtain more information about this trip, David?
Yeah, we'll be releasing an article at 9 p.m. this evening on MadisonScouts.org.
Central Time?
Central Time, yes. Madison Standard Time. And we will push that out on our social media as well. So if you're interested in learning more, check out the article. And at the bottom, there's a place for you to fill out an interest form if you are interested in joining the Corps or coming on the trip as a family friend or alumnus.
So that you clarified my question. In order to be one of the performers, you have to be a member of the 2021 and or 2022 Madison Scouts.
That's correct. So alumni won't be performing in this one, but they can come and hang out. It will be just the members performing.
Wow. So, but we're going in 2023.
2023, yes.
So if you're auditioning for the 2023 Corps, that does not include you.
Correct. Yes.
That is correct.
Yep.
Okay, just want to clarify. It's this is the future.
Yes.
This is all. Oh my gosh. So, anything else about that you want to tease?
No, I mean, I think it's just an incredible opportunity for our students to get an amazing experience, for the Madison Scouts to, again, travel internationally and continue to build the brand of the Madison Scouts. And, again, no better place than South America. What a great place to learn about the culture, the music, and to bring that back into our own lives.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a huge announcement. We're well worthy of 3 hours of teasing.
Absolutely.
It looks like the Corps is getting set on the field for a full musical run of our production. And then we have Scott Borman closing it all down, conducting his arrangement of Neverwalk.
Absolutely, because the 80s rule.
They do. That was some of the best music, best times to be alive. So
had to get that in there.
I guess we'll check back with the horns and the percussion, and we'll come back at the end and say goodnight.
That sounds great.
That's right.
All right, thank you.
Wow, that's
emotional.
That's an incredibly moving experience for not only just alums and members, but fans of.
Yeah,
of Drum Corps.
It feels good to have Scott around the Drum Corps again. He's someone that shaped what's happened here in a lot of different ways, not just musically and educationally, but just like how to be a good person. So it was awesome to see him to be around the members and the staff and us, to be honest.
Yeah.
Getting his, he's been doing a lot of ear whispering as he gets to see their show, and it's our first Drum Corps show as a design team. He's one of my teachers, so it's an amazing experience for Chris to allow us to help us get him here so he could help guide us, because he's going to be a mentor for the design team for a long time to come.
100%. So, so thank you all of you that were watching and donated. The good thing is you can continue to sponsor by purchasing an Aussie or a color guard flag or a meal on scoutsproshop.com. You can do this throughout the summer.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be great for Friday's performance next Friday that every single member of the Drum Corps has a sponsored Aussie or flag? Like that's our challenge to you, Drum Corps fans, Madison fans, alums, etc.
Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone just tuning into the live stream. But if you have the ability to make it to a show, the young performers are working so hard all across the country right now. And I know for us, we have a lot of performances coming up. You can find them on our website in the Midwest Combine, and then we wrap it up at Indy. Just keep supporting Drum Corps, and we have a lot of opportunities for you guys to get involved with the Madison Scouts. So thank you so much for your support tonight and hanging out with us.
And not just the Madison Scouts. Everybody. We Drum Corps is back.
Yeah.
Support us all. Keep your hateful comments to yourself, because we'd rather have Drum Corps than no Drum Corps at all. Yeah. So thank you for everything. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and may you never walk alone.
Never walk alone.
Hi, I'm Madison. I play trumpet for the Madison Scouts. Putting on this uniform is it just feels surreal, because for a long time I wasn't able to do this and be in this corps, so to have this uniform on is a crazy experience, and I don't know, it's just, I'm at a loss for words. It just feels so good to be in the uniform and be here.